All right, guys, full court press, and bear with me. Lots of pop-up boxes just now. But apparently, drop us a comment. Let us know if we're live. Apparently, we're working through like a worldwide internet outage here. But we're here. We didn't think we were going to be here 15 minutes ago, but we are here. Someone in the chat is saying Sienna is overrated.
That's not all they're saying, is it?
While we're waiting, someone was like, he's still talking to the Starbucks barista. I haven't been to a Starbucks in a long time. I don't know where that comment came from. But I want to say this. While we're waiting for people to file in, get your notebooks out. Get your notebooks out, because here's what I learned about Sienna and Colgate last night. I learned that Sienna cannot handle a zone, and it's going to be a real issue for them. They had poor numbers against a zone last year, and that Colgate zone is suddenly very, very athletic without their big 6'11" center that's no longer on the team that graduated. So, but yeah, Sienna really struggled with the 1-3-1 from Colgate, nearly willed their way to a win. They tie the game with 2 seconds left, and then Jalen Cox bangs a 50-footer in my face for the win. It was a sight to see. Left very disappointed from that game, but got it back with Tulsa. So 1-1 for me. Enough rambling.
Trig, while you're being falsely
ahead.
accused of talking off the ear of a make-believe barista at Starbucks, I'm being accused of holding up the show by choking my chicken still. I mean, that was something. That's why I was done. That's why I was tired at the start of the show. I know. Come on. No, guys. I'm a happily married man. Come on. I get some at least twice a month.
So we are.
Once if I ask, twice if I beg.
We are off and running now. Let's get Rob Vino in here. Again, I don't think there's that many in the live chat, but we'll get through this, and this will be up on demand, of course. So if anything happens throughout the course of the show, it'll be there on demand. We got a lot to talk about, though. There's a lot of games today, and there is a great doubleheader at Madison Square Garden, which will be our feature game. So I'll go right to Rob and welcome in, first of all. Second of all, you can kick us off. Michigan State, Kentucky, the first leg of that doubleheader down at the Garden. How are you seeing this matchup? I think you're muted, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay,
good now.
There we go. Yep.
We can hear you.
You guys got me? Yeah, I was running that printer overtime. I didn't want the listeners to hear my printer going. Yeah, MSG will be rocking tonight, guys, with this doubleheader. Obviously, for your more high-profile teams. I'm going to defer to you guys on the Michigan State side simply because you saw them live, but I'll go from the Kentucky side here. At first glance, I thought 5 was a little too much to ask. But when I went back over it, and it actually been bet down to 4.5. Now, guys, bear with us because we had no access to our odds screens for a while here this morning. Mm-hmm. But now 4.5 and 53.5. Let's go from there, guys. The Louisville, Kentucky game, because what we're going to pull from here, at least in my handicap, is games that were meaningful, played by both of these teams. On the Kentucky side, that was the Louisville game where they just couldn't hang with Louisville in the same type of pace game as one another. Here, it's a different style. You get Tom Izzo's little slowdown style team for Kentucky. I don't know that the total move here, guys, is correct up to 153.5. Although I'll say I don't know that it's incorrect either. I could see it going either way simply because at the end of a game, we might get free throw action here in this one that could send it over. But I like the guard side from a Kentucky perspective. I like the pace side from a Kentucky perspective. Michigan State, we've talked about it once already this year, maybe twice. The three-point shooting that this team brings to the table just isn't, in my mind, established enough to play a game at this level. And now they could go out and shoot lights out tonight, but I don't think that'll happen. I think Kentucky's got enough interior defense here to stop Michigan State from scoring enough inside to win this game. I also think that Kentucky can get out and run enough to win this game. So for my money, it would probably be Kentucky. However, I'm very skeptical of laying more than 2 buckets with this team. 2 threes, I guess you could say, inside of 2 threes. And total wise, I thought the odds maker comes real close here. Like I said, I don't want to play it under, even though that's my slight feeling. Might look over at some point today if I can get to it. I'll say in closing here really quick, guys, that the Michigan State side against San Jose State, when I saw that game, which just was one more game, 19-point win that was kind of unimpressive. And I don't know what to make of Michigan State. The thing is, I don't want to sell them short because it's an Izzo team and a big game. But from what I've seen of them, I think Kentucky's the better squad. Like I say, backcourt, enough front court. And even though they lost that game to Louisville, I kind of think Louisville's better than both of these teams. So I'm going to lean Kentucky. I won't stand firm with Kentucky, but I'll lean Kentucky's way in this one. And if this thing cranks up to maybe 154.5, I think I might get to the under.
Okay. I think what's the first thing that jumped out to me, I constantly, and I'll talk about this all season long, all the way through March, compare my own power ratings to, what the pollsters have. And I think one thing that's interesting here is I'm not in line with the AP top 25 they have. This is number 12 versus number 17. I've got Kentucky power rated inside the top 10, while Michigan State outside the top 25, believe it or not. I would concur what the gentleman to my right said. Rob, I think Louisville's better than both of these teams. Obviously, Louisville beat Kentucky. You would think, though, based on the disparity in my own power ratings, I'd be showing some value here on Kentucky. But even with that disparity, I'm pretty close to market here, at least at the open. I made the number Kentucky minus 5.8. But with it still being so early in the season, I'll let you guys know when it comes to my power ratings. Not a tremendous gap between number 10 and number 30. Those teams are very close, very congested. So let's make that clear right here. As for the matchup, Rob mentioned it. Trig and I obviously caught this Michigan State team in person 2 Saturdays ago. A very impressive win over Arkansas. Impressive in the sense, Trig, that Sparty was able to win while going just 1 of 14 from 3. The margin of victory wasn't impressive, but if you can beat a quality opponent when you shoot 1 for 14 from 3, you're doing something else right. Now, Rob mentioned the San Jose State game for Michigan State. That was their next game after beating Arkansas. Tom Izzo, pretty critical of his performance. If you caught this show last Thursday, we identified, and I think a lot of people would have identified it as well, as a likely flat spot for Michigan State. For the record, they end up winning by 19. Do not covers, 24-point chalk. Meanwhile, Kentucky, after losing to Louisville, they respond by blowing out Eastern Illinois 99-53 on Friday. Mark Pope's team, guys, averaging 98 points per game so far, 3-0 to the over. That probably explains the move on the total that Rob referenced earlier. I think the big story, though, for the Wildcats, Jalen Lowe, point guard, is out. You got Aberdeen, Chandler, Johnson to lead the offense. But, Trig, I know you're really good with this matchup stuff. I think the lack of a true point guard here could really hurt against a team like Michigan State, who we've already seen against another SEC team, Arkansas. Michigan State was able to slow the tempo down, make the opponent play in the half court. I think Izzo can do that here. I think Sparty's size is another thing to watch out for. Kohler, he's averaging a double-double. You got Carson Cooper as well up front. Michigan State, guys, 4th nationally, offensive rebounds per game. I think that's a critical stat. Maybe they could snag some extra possessions. My leans here, and I do stress the word leans, would be towards the dog and to the under in this first game at MSG.
Yeah, so if this was a normal scenario, like everyone healthy, I'd look to Kentucky because my thing would be, well, they'd be able to create transition opportunities. They would be able to push the pace, and that's absolutely what Michigan State does not want. We got a good look at this Michigan State team against Arkansas, and the reason Michigan State was able to win that game, Brian, in my opinion, was they got Arkansas to do enough in the half court. And it
Yes.
wasn't even that they just gave up, that Arkansas couldn't get transition or create transition. It was that when Michigan State, over the course of 40 minutes, they were able to deny transition enough that put Arkansas in a half court set. And you and I were sitting next to each other. We were a few Spartas deep, but we knew that they weren't there. You turned to me there. You were like, what is that possession? What was that shot? Like, what was, and that is Michigan State's half-court defense, which would do the same thing to Kentucky. Now, if Kentucky can turn this into a track meet, Michigan State's in trouble. That being said, the absence of Lowe makes it less likely that they're going to be able to do that. So that's Michigan State's path to victory, is being physical, slowing the game down, limiting the number of possessions in this game. 154 on the total. Let's say Michigan State can do that. I think, Rob, you'd have to probably like the under if they can do that. But again, if Kentucky can dictate tempo here, then it's a different ball game. But without Lowe, I think you have to think that might hurt Kentucky from a pace standpoint. I think that's what you said. You made the point, Brian. It's interesting. Like these sort of made for TV neutral court games, I really struggle to usually get to the window on, and I'm kind of struggling here, though. I do think if Michigan State can slow this game down, there's some correlation between Michigan State's success and the game playing under. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you guys remember better. This Champions Class, it's usually, early in the season, the books are trying to still figure these teams out. I think historically it's been, and we still got one other game to go with Duke and Kansas. It's been historically profitable to back the underdogs. I think in this particular MTE, if memory serves correct.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if this was what Duke lost in last year when Flagg had that sort of like horrible possession where he tried to like dribble through three guys with the game on the line and then got the ball stolen.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. Yes.
And Kentucky would have been the dog in that game. So yeah, it's a good point, Brian. And it's a good point. I'll bring Rob back in here because the other game that is part of our double feature in the other leg of this event, you've got an underdog that's now quite a bigger underdog in a matchup where normally they wouldn't be as big of an underdog. And that is, of course, Duke and Kansas trying to get organized again here. As you said, the screens were all wacky, but we have a double-digit favorite with Duke. We have Kansas, who's likely without their best player or one of their best players. And I don't know, Rob, is that too many points, or do you think Duke runs away with this one?
Well, and to answer Brian's question about the dogs generally, or thinking that the dogs generally are good in this tournament, I don't know that we ever see dogs of this size in this tournament when you put these four types of teams together plus 11. Not really seen, but I'm a little higher on this game, guys. I like this Duke team total over 80.5. I mean, Darren Peterson, obviously, we just talked about Lowe, big deal. Darren Peterson, bigger deal. KU, their last game without him against Princeton, something miserable from 3-point range. I do have notes here now that tell me 5 of 21, 23.8% from 3-point range in that game. Peterson came out of the gates as the main guy offensively, and then you lose him. And like I say, the Princeton game, they played without him. They didn't shoot well from three. Duke's pace has been incredible so far this season. They shoot the ball 6th fastest in the country, 13.8 seconds per possession length. That's getting it down and getting the ball up, and they're shooting it real well. Now, opposition hasn't been great, but they beat Texas by 15. So for what that's worth, that's a major college program winning by 15 there. Everybody else, they've absolutely swamped. Contrary to what we just said about Kentucky needing transition and possibly not being able to get it because, again, Tom Izzo, his focal point will be transition defense. They'll go to the offensive glass. It won't be like a Princeton-style transition defense where you shoot the ball and send all 5 back, but Izzo will make sure they have somebody back to defend against transition. I don't know that Kansas can stop Duke from running in this game. Their team total is 80.5. I don't see an issue with that here, guys. I think Kansas will be forced to play a little bit quicker. I think Kansas will be forced to play from behind. Not sure yet on Duke defensively, which is why I won't commit to Duke covering this number. Obviously, if they get over 80.5, they're going to be in position to possibly cover. But this thing's liable to rise a little bit higher even during the day because we know betting these games every day that people bet or fade injuries like crazy, and especially an injury like Darren Peterson. It's like when the public gets to it, it's liable to rise even higher. So I think at this point in time, the way to go here, and the total's even been bet down because of no Darren Peterson. I'm not so sure I agree with that either as far as full game is concerned. But to me, and again, I'm way more betting wise into this game than the previous game. I think Duke team total, asking them to get to 81 here, I don't think is too much. I think the pace will be there. The Boozer kids have been really good so far this year. Give me Duke over 80.5. I like that play quite a bit.
I have Duke power rate as number one team in the country right now. I don't think that's, an earth-shattering hot take or anything like that. Kansas power ratings perspective, just kind of inside the top 25 for me. This is a very well-educated chat. Obviously, we have Trig here on Full Court Press and Rob as well. These people know what they're talking about. Just for those of you who may not understand, loss of Peterson. I mean, this is a guy who's projected to be the number one pick in next summer's NBA draft by a lot of people. So that is a significant loss for the Jayhawks. Peterson had 22 points for what it's worth in Kansas's lone loss so far. That loss was by 13 at North Carolina. Jayhawks have bounced back since then, 77-46 over Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 76-57 over Princeton. But obviously, as Rob alluded to just a moment ago, facing Duke, a much taller order, quite literally. In fact, the Blue Devils have tremendous size in the front court. Opponents shooting 39% against Duke on 2-point attempts, below 40% inside the arc, just 32% overall. Offensively for the Blue Devils, you got Cameron Boozer. He went for 35 last time out. That was the second most points ever scored in a game by a Duke freshman. For the record, Boozer, 13 of 16 from the field in that game. It was against Indiana State last Friday. We should mention from a betting perspective, Duke's 4-0 against the number so far. So that's another reason I think the public may gravitate towards the Blue Devil side. Not only did they open up with that impressive win over Texas that Rob mentioned, also 3 straight covers as a favorite of 34 or more points. So the big spreads have not been a problem for Duke. Obviously beating weak competition is what you'd expect. But when you're covering as a favorite of 34 or more 3 straight times, I think that's pretty impressive personally. Now, the contrarian in me, Trig, doesn't really want to play a 4-0 ATS team that's favored by double digits in this spot. That's just how my brain works. I see this and I say, is this a potential sell high spot on the Blue Devils? I think Rob's point's well taken. Once the public gets wind of the Peterson injury, this line could take off even more. My thought was actually to go with the under at the open. The full, just Kansas has some offensive issues, 55th per Ken Palm in efficiency. I think they're going to struggle to score against this Duke defense. I look at Kansas defensively, they're 11th in efficiency. Bill Self in the past has done well against Shire, 2-0. He's held those Duke offenses in check. But with this size, I don't know. Maybe it's just Kansas team total under is an angle worth looking here. I don't see Kansas winning this game. That's for sure. I think they struggle to score points against that size of Duke. It is worth noting, though, Boozer was scoreless in the first half against Texas, if memory serves me correct. So, maybe Self can devise a game plan to keep him in check. I don't know.
I don't have a ton to add here. I'll tell you that the one thing I had circled. So my number came out, Duke minus 9.5. It's very close to where it opened, Duke minus 10.5. I understand, why it's moving. It certainly hasn't moved enough for me to really be confident punching back. And the reason for that is the one thing I had big circled on my notes. Kansas might not have an answer for the Duke offense. And I think that's what sort of Rob alluded to, looking at the total. It's probably the way I would play it as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of games, a lot of different questions in the chat today. I'm not going to, waste any more time on this one since I don't have a strong opinion, but I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. Bunch to get to. J Buff, I see you in there. We'll get to that. Garth, I'm coming to your game. But first, we have a sort of chat debate on one that quite a few people are talking about. And I feel like this is going to be a popular sort of game tonight because you have the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks, who have been as fun as can be, pulling upsets. Brian Power, do I dare call them America's team right now? At least the part of America that pays attention to mid-majors pulling upsets in November. And they are on the road as a large underdog to Florida State. And we have, so the chat debate right now is people saying Tennessee Martin, they're going to do it again. We've got the other folks saying Florida State's going to run them out by 40. Brian Power, what is it? What is it? Do you have any interest in this one?
My only concern is when everyone falls in love with the dog, that's typically when I back away, right? In terms of this game, let's take a look. I am going to laugh at you, Jay Buff. I don't care what you say. Okay, I'm going to laugh every time your name's mentioned. Let's just go and see, for instance, what I would power rate this game at here. UT Martin and Florida State here. Let me just go through this real quick. Sorry.
And I'm sorry. We finally, our back end server at WagerTalk was down for like all morning. So if you see me over here, I'm trying to put plays out that I would have had up.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this number's too. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this number, I just went through the numbers. Sorry, because again, Rob mentioned, just everyone, in case you're just joining the stream late, the internet, a large portion of it was down this morning, including our odds screen. Twitter was down. A lot of sites were down. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this number's too high. That's my initial. I actually do. I'm surprised. I just ran I think this number is actually way too high. Based on my power ratings, I'll dig into this a little bit. I'll let Rob speak on this first, but I kind of actually lean UT Martin right now from a power ratings perspective. As much as my initial thought was when so many people like, oh, I love this dog. I love this dog. Yeah, they're probably going to be overvalued. I actually don't think they're overvalued here, Trig, at all. I'll dig a little bit deeper for you in a second.
Yeah, I'll hop in real quick, guys. I'll tell you what I don't think is too high is that total. I mean, I can see this game, sir, but they've bet it up already. Probably isn't high enough. FSU, for what it's worth, obviously you've got two fast-paced teams, right? And Florida State is extreme tempo. Top 10 fastest possessions in the country. They're going to run it at UT Martin. I think UT Martin will run it back at them. But from the Florida State perspective, what I look at is they score 76 points against that Florida front line. And the Tennessee Martin front line is not even comparable to the Florida front line. So the 76 that they scored against Florida probably turns into 88, 89, 90 something in that vicinity. They've been really good shooting the basketball. Tennessee Martin's been even better. I don't know that I trust the Florida State defense to do anything earth-shattering in this game. I think they'll encourage a track meet, so to speak. So for me, I don't think that this total's gotten high enough. I know that the chat is debating on the side, and every time it comes to me over here on the far right, I want to talk about total rather than side. But I think it's the right way to go. I think that's the type of game you're going to get. I think Florida State will be comfortable in it. I think Florida State feels superior in that type of game, and not having to see the rim protection that Florida presented against them from UT Martin just means more buckets. And these fast-paced games, guys, a lot of times end up with, I'm just going to use a rough number here, at 45 to 50 free throws. And from a free throw perspective, when you get that many extra opportunities, that's usually a good sign for overs. Florida State, for what it's worth, almost shoots 80% from the free throw line. I can see this thing getting to 170. So it's something that I had a little blue check mark next to on the overnights, and the total was lower then. I think I may get to this one as far as over is concerned.
Yeah, so here's how I see this playing out, and this is what makes this game so interesting. And so I'll just point out too, like I made the number Florida State minus 22. Okay, it opened 20. It got bet up to 22, and now you see there's definitely like some market support for Tennessee Martin at 22 because we're now going back toward that opening number of 20. So I think there are people that are on the side of like, okay, this is where Tennessee Martin's going to get run out. And then there's people like Brian Power who are like, no, that's actually like 22 is actually probably a good number. And,
yes,
because when it hit 22, there was some clear buying to knock that back off in the other direction. I am kind of with Rob, though. I think I have more interest in playing this over than trying to get involved with the side because, like, Tennessee Martin gets a lot of shots up and they get them up quick. So really, like, I think if you like Florida State, the bet is really like, okay, this is finally where Tennessee Martin misses some shots, right? Because the volume of shots that they're taking, the what they're giving up. Like if they have a cold shooting night, if Martin goes on the road here as a cold shooting night, they're losing by probably 25, 30 points. But if they make some of those shots, they're probably in this game a little bit, at least from a spread perspective. But like either way, just because of how Florida State has played in some of these games where it seems like they're going to do it for 40 minutes, there's been a couple of scenarios already this year where they've really let it rip for all 40, hasn't mattered what the score is, that like, even if you do get cold shooting from Tennessee Martin, maybe you get this over because Florida State dropped 100 spot on them. So it's like, I just think the over gives you more opportunities to win regardless of how this game plays out, which could go like many different directions depending on if the shots are falling or not. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. So, Rob talks about Florida State getting to 76 against Florida and how that's a good sign for them scoring here. Well, I'll tell you what really makes it a good sign for them scoring here. They got to 76 against Florida, despite shooting 34% overall from the floor, 26% from three. Do we think UT Martin is going to hold Florida State to those kind of percentages? No, I don't think, even no matter what my power ratings say. No, I don't think we do. And Florida State also, here's the thing. You talk about maybe a cold shoot. This is the other bad sign. Florida State has defended the three pretty well so far. And I think your point's well taken, Trick. If UT Martin has a cold night from three, they're obviously in a lot of trouble. Florida State also forces a lot of turnovers, too. So if UT Martin isn't hitting them from outside and is turning the ball over, obviously they're dead. Those are high variance stats. Obviously, it's something you're going to know. You're not going to know until you click on the game, and we're a few minutes in how it's playing out. But I suppose there is a path schematically for Florida State to cover this big number, even though my power ratings say no. My power ratings actually really like UT Martin in this spot.
All right, let's stay on the topic of totals for a second because this one's very intriguing, and we got to get my guy Garth in here. Thank you for. I got to say this, first of all, thank you for the donation to the show, much appreciated. But every time we talk about Garth's game, we pretty much get it right. We've been on a tear for Garth. Yesterday he brought up West Georgia. They ended up going off +4. They won the game outright. I think we even may have touched on. I don't remember if we touched on the under there, but it stayed under, much to the chagrin of Brian Power, who needed that poor shooting last time West Georgia played.
Yes.
They finally, like you said, they went on the road and missed a lot and still ended up winning the game. We got that right. And we're going to try to get one right here for Garth again. He wants to know Army team total under 72.5 tonight against Cornell. And this is an interesting game to me because you want to talk about an Army team total under against a Cornell team that is going to just let it rip, play as fast as humanly possible, get up and down, press the whole game, and typically plays high-scoring games. So that's a little bit of a conundrum to me because Cornell is so much better than Army. They're going to control the tempo of this game without question. I have zero faith in Army being able to slow them down. I have a very long list of potential plays today. One of the plays on that list, which I haven't locked in yet, and again, it's a very long list that needs paring down, is Cornell -14.5 on the basis that I don't think Army can dictate how this game goes. I just think Cornell is so far superior to them that if they want to play up and down and press the whole game and get crazy, it'll look similar to the Lafayette game. Now, the only difference is I think that Cornell-Lafayette line, what did we lay, 4.5 with Cornell in that game? On the road against Lafayette. Now we're being asked to lay 14.5 with Cornell. Might be a little bit of an equalizer, even though I personally make this 19. So I do still see an edge there. But as far as your question is concerned, and I'll bring Rob in here, who's sort of our resident totals expert. It's tough because Cornell could press them so hard that it turns into a blowout and Army just gives up. And that's your path to the under, in my opinion. Cornell wins this game by 20 and Army just packs it in and says, all right, we're going to walk the ball up the floor. We're sick of getting pressed. We're sick of turning it over every possession. And we score 60 something points and get blown out. But I don't know if I want to bet on that. And so I'll open the floor to the other two to see if they can make some sense out of this.
Well, I'll say real quick, Adam, that, Army's kind of a, well, let's put it this way. you want to go very slow offensively. And yet we were talking about Tom Izzo and transition defense earlier. When you look at Army's defensive metrics, and I get that, they played a Duke team that wants to go pretty quick, but St. Thomas doesn't want to go quick. They're just efficient. Harvard doesn't want to really go quick. And yet they're allowing shots at the number 69 rate as far as seconds per possession is concerned in the country. Like you say, Cornell, another extreme tempo team. And if you're going slow offensively, but allowing the ball to be rebounded and moved out of there as quick as humanly possible, I always try to find a comp game when I'm playing these totals. And for me, the comp game would be the Duke game. It goes 114 to 59. Is Cornell going to get to 114 like Duke did? Probably not. Can Cornell get to within 15 points of that the way they play and get 99? Probably can, the way that they play offense. And then the other side of that is Army could only get 59 points against Duke with their humongous team. I mean, Army obviously is in physical difficulty playing that game as far as size is concerned. Against Cornell, they'll give you buckets for free at times. So can they get more than 59? Absolutely. They could probably, even though they're a bad shooting team, they could probably get to 68, 69 by mistake. You start doing mathematics in that form and you come up with over. I know this game has been bet down a little bit, maybe because of Army. Question is, for somebody who's going to bet over, do you trust Army enough to score 69, 70 points? If you don't, then you just bet the Cornell team total over. And again, guys, I don't know if it's happened to you, but it looks to me like my odds screen has gone down again. So I can't even give you what the current team total is in that game. You have it, Adam?
I was going to say my I don't have the team totals in front of me, but my odds screen is working and Cornell's moved quite a bit since we got on air. It was 14.5 up to 18. Some places makes complete sense. Fully expected it to move in that direction. The total
that just moved.
Yeah. The game total has ticked down from 164 now to 161.5. Garth, I would say your path to hitting that bet is the fact that there's probably zero extension at the end of this game. It's likely a blowout. And you may see Army just decide to live to play another day as opposed to try to score a bunch of points in the meaningless game at the end. Rob, you talked about Army and just there. I think this is one of the worst 10 teams in the country this year. So for me, I'm not betting on Army to do anything good. So team total under, I think makes some sense in the respect that you almost need them to get the over by accident. This Army team is a bad basketball team. Will be the worst team in a bad Patriot League. One of the worst teams in the country. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Well, Trig, go ahead, Rob.
Brian, real quick. I'll take 2 seconds here. I guess indirectly, I answered your question, Garth, because I was talking about you going to trust Army to get this 68, 69 points. And your question was, will they stay under 72.5? So I guess indirectly, I answered it right there by saying, for them to get the 70 is a big deal in this game.
Yeah. I was just going to add this real quick, Trig. I apologize. We're scrambling this morning with all the internet things going down, and I apologize if I missed you references. Do you put any in terms of the handicap, this being Cornell's first home game? You obviously have traveled the Northeast more than most. Is that
there will be no one there tonight?
That's not when you don't think it's worth anything. Okay, I'm just. I mean, you're looking at a team. They started traversing this fine country of ours with 3 road games. Now they're back home. I didn't know if that was worth anything to you in terms of on the Cornell side.
Cornell will get a turnout every once in a while for a good Ivy opponent or maybe on a Saturday, but I don't. This game's going to have no atmosphere. I don't think anyone's going to this game.
Worse than Bowling Green.
Season home opener, nobody shows.
Yeah. Worse than Bowling Green, Lemoyne.
No, I think there'll be less people than that game. That's tough though. That's a Sunday during NFL football. No name opponent for Bowling Green. I've been to some Cornell games that I thought were going to be decent crowds and stuff, and it's just they just don't get a huge turnout for games. They'll get a turnout if Princeton comes to town middle of Ivy season, but they're not gonna. I don't think they'll have much of a showing on a weeknight for this game.
One of those schools you have to study at, Rob. That's why I didn't go there.
Yeah.
Cornell
or protest. Maybe there'll be more protesters.
Jay Buff. You know what? Jay Buff says, hate to say it,
Uh-oh.
but I think Monmouth plus 22 has some value tonight. Can't bet against my boys, but it seems high. Starling first game back. Look ahead to 2 tough games in Vegas. Jay Buff, I agree with you. And I'm going to use Monmouth plus 22 as my parlay leg here. That's a 3%er for me. Yes, I did. So I will take a second to acknowledge I did kill the parlay yesterday. Both of you boys got it done. And the Siena Saints did not. So that's on me. We need to win one of these, though. We're on a little bit of a parlay swoon where we keep hitting 2 of 3, which is...
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure the chat will, but this show has now been in existence. We've done 11 shows so far. I believe 9 of them, we've won at least 2 of the 3 parlay legs. I believe there's only been 2 occasions where we didn't at least, if you just played the 3 plays straight, you wouldn't have gone at least 2 and 1.
Yeah, can I interest anybody in round robins?
Yes, there we go.
It's an option. Really, it's just a fun way to get you out some information and kind of track if we have success with it or not. Still plus 9.22 units on the year, and we'll still be locking one in every day, whether they win or lose. So hopefully we can win more of them than we lose. But this is also, you could also play this straight. This will be a 3% play for my clients. And I think Jay Buff nailed the handicap. So I was, this actually opened 22.5, 22. It was announced that JJ Starling would play tonight. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here waiting. I'm like, oh, please someone bet Syracuse based on that information, which I think is totally irrelevant to the outcome of this game. Not that he doesn't help the team significantly, but in this game with a 22-point spread, I just don't think the fact that he'll probably play limited minutes is moving the needle. And of it started to get bet the other way. So I didn't want to lose the 22. I took the 22. I still think 22s are out there, might be 20, 21 and a half most places. But yeah, it's a spot that historically Syracuse has not done well. These are, if you go back the last couple of years, which we'll call the Adrian Autry era for Syracuse basketball, they are horrific as a huge home favorite. They just, so you want to talk about a venue that doesn't have a ton of juice. The Dome, listen, you need to put 20,000 in the Dome just to have a reasonable atmosphere. You need 30,000 in the Dome for a really good atmosphere. And these early season sort of buy game type games that Syracuse schedules at home just typically don't have that juice. I usually subtract home court for Syracuse in these types of games because I just don't think it's worth anything. I'll typically won't add anything to my number for Cuse being home here because of that. Whereas the books are almost always going to put a point or two for home court for a Power 5 power conference school against a team like Monmouth. Now go back to the weekend. Syracuse wins that game by 30 and covers, but that was a monster run they closed that game on. Brian is nodding his head. Do you want to throw I think Syracuse outscored Drexel 43-18 in the second half of that game and covered when it was a close game in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a Syracuse team that is 8th nationally with a plus 36 scoring margin, but be aware that can be a little bit misleading. As Trig just alluded to, Cuse was only up 5 at the half against Drexel. And they were getting out-rebounded. They were getting outworked on the boards. They lost the rebounding edge for the game. They were dominated on the glass, as a matter of fact. In the first half, they lost the rebounding battle 19-8 over the first 20 minutes. You would not expect that at all from the favorite. And then you look at the Monmouth side, okay. First of all, they just played another Big East team, Seton Hall. They go down by 12, but the Hawks, they were up by as many as 9 in the first half of the game, actually led by 7 at the half. So this is a game, if you're just looking at final scores from last time out, very, very misleading because you had Syracuse up by a very thin margin against Drexel, while Monmouth was actually beating Seton Hall on the road at half. So yeah, I think you're onto something here, Trig. Would completely co-sign with you and you, Jay Buff. I know you want me to say that as well. I think Monmouth plus the points would be the way to play this.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll add in regards to the Monmouth side, which I didn't really offer much of a handicap on the Monmouth side. they're perceived to be awful this year because, of course, Abby Bashir goes to Kansas State. Madison Durr, I believe, ended up somewhere in the same conference, maybe UNC Wilmington. And those were like the high volume scorers for them last year. But like last year's team had issues. Like those two did a lot of scoring. Jarrett Valencia was hurt for most of the years, and for most of the year. And they like there was like that team kind of fell apart at times. So even though this team doesn't have the star power of last year's team, like King Rice is a very good coach. He's been a very good coach for a long time. I almost think as a unit, they might be like better than what their market projection is. And Brian alluded to some of that in the recent game against Seton Hall, where they had a lead for a long period of time in that game and were competitive. So Jay Buff, listen though, you got to cash the ticket if you want your flowers. You no flowers until tomorrow. Except I think he might want his flowers for the Lemoyne call last night. So we'll give him that. We just need to know if you're leading Syracuse out to the court tonight, we can't bet this. So we need to know that. Hopefully you're going to watch this one in the comfort of your own home. It's cold and windy as hell out. You don't want to be walking down on the streets of Syracuse tonight. It's going to just stay home. Don't lead the team out, and let's cash Marsh. Monmouth plus 22, which is a client play for me, 3%. And he's saying he did last night. If you led Lemoyne on the floor, I'll lose. That is just I can't. I need to see that to believe it. But
you got to be ribbing me.
You got to tell Brian Power if you're going to do that because he needs to. I mean, he would.
I can't bet against you, Jay Buff. Yeah, I can't bet against you, Jay Buff.
At any rate, we'll move it along. Monmouth plus 22, first leg of the parlay, 3% play for Trig, and we'll leave it at that. All right, let's get back into the. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go to Rob. We got to hear from Rob. Little dealer's choice for Rob. We'll see if he wants to lock in his parlay leg or not. Throw something out there that we can chat about here.
All right, two things. Very quickly, I will throw out a parlay leg that we've already talked about. I just think Duke over 80.5 team total is an absolute way to go here. One last thing I'll throw in that particular game is that Kansas has already faced this style with Peterson and gave up 87 to UNC. And UNC is not as good not as quick as Duke pace-wise so far this year, not as good shooting the basketball as Duke this year. To me, getting to 81 here, I don't know that Kansas can do much about it. Secondly, Adam, I'll throw one out there because we've talked a lot about these two teams so far this year. And again, odd screen down. I apologize, guys. I don't have exact current numbers to give you here, but Little Rock and Murray State. Little Rock's been on a journey all season long, right? They had those couple of games in Wisconsin, I think it was. I played that team or that full game total against Marquette over. Didn't work out because Little Rock came through with 49 points after Shaka Smart had said he was mad at his defense, and they proved to be right. Little Rock comes back. They score a little better. But Murray State from the Missouri Valley, we've talked about a little bit here too, Adam, and they didn't get the money. Yeah, they've like plus 10.5. And they're within 10 with 30 seconds left to go. And they don't get the money in that particular game. I'm trying to forget trying to remember who the big favorite even was in that game now. Anyway, I think Murray State comes through here. I just don't like the Little Rock offense. Again, I've said before that they're scattered shooting. They're sporadic. There's nights. They're going to have good nights. You play 34 games in college basketball, and the volume is good enough or enough to, on a night where you can shoot 46, 47% from the floor, where you're going to score big numbers. But Little Rock just doesn't do that consistently enough for me. And to me, Murray State is going to be a challenger in the MVC this year. Solid offense. We've seen it so far. Pretty good defense. I think that in this particular game, in this particular matchup, they can do what Little Rock does and even better. So without having that number in front of me, I'm going to leave you with the thought that Murray State is the right side in this game. You know what? I have an overnight though. Unless you guys can give me a current, I'll tell you, because I had a check mark next to this game. That's why we're talking about it. Murray. Oh, goodness. You guys got it?
No, where is it? Why is
I
it
got
not?
Murray State
There it is.
14, guys, on the overnight. 14.
It's at 14 and a half. It's at 14 and a half now.
Yeah, and I think they're more than capable here. It may sound like a lot, but Arkansas Little Rock is a team that just
NHL best bets for Tuesday, November 18th. We are live on Puck Time, WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McGinnis. I have Carmine Bianco, Lawrence Presman, Don Buster, and Brian Leonard joining me. We've got a jam-packed show, guys, and a pretty big slate of games here on a Tuesday. So looking forward to breaking things down. We have a same-game parlay for today, and we also have Carmine's bankroll builder play of the day. So not much time to waste here, guys. Lots to get to. I will bring in my co-host, Carm. What's up, brother? How are you?
Not much, Andrew. Yeah, huge day today. We got the Prez coming in. He's going to do New Jersey and Tampa Bay. Don Buster is going to do Seattle and Detroit. Brian Leonard's going to do Calgary and Chicago. And then we're going to keep him around because I want to talk to Vegas Golden Knights and the New York Rangers. And I have a pod play that the line has just moved. I got the best number when I put it in. So I'll talk about that when we actually do that one. But the pod play got there yesterday. The Vancouver overs just keep on hitting, Andrew. It was like, before I knew it, it was like 4-3. I'm like, or 5-3. I'm like, what happened in this game? And then, of course, the one play I have last night, if you told me, Andrew, that the Buffalo Sabres were going to score 5 goals against the Edmonton Oilers and the total of 6.5, I would have bet both of my chestnuts on the over in that game, and the Oilers get 1 goal in that game. Andrew, I'm going to mention one other thing about the Edmonton Oilers. Do you know the Edmonton Oilers have the worst 5-on-5 record in the NHL? 31st. 52 goals allowed 5-on-5. You can't blame the goalie in those instances. Well, you can, but or you won't. But with that said, let's bring him in. Co-founder of WagerTalk and the originator of Puck Time, the one, the only, the dancing panda, the Prez.
What up, boys? How you doing, guys?
What's up, Prez?
Yeah, not Bitcoin. That we know. But all is good in my world, guys, and no complaints whatsoever. I had the under in the NFL game last night. Crazy freaking ending. Absolutely. I don't think I've ever seen a team kneel before the clock will run out. Like, and then hand the ball to the other team and be like, hey, throw a Hail Mary. Who knows? Maybe you run it in. I don't know. I mean, they were up by 17, so there was no pathway to losing the game. But either way, that was a crazy ending.
I'm actually surprised you watched that game. The Cowboys versus the Raiders were probably the last thing I wanted to watch last night, with a good slate of hockey games. And then like other stuff you could have watched. I would have watched C-SPAN before I watched that game. But with that said, Prez, the Tampa Bay Lightning minus 170 here. The New Jersey Devils plus 139. Total sits here at 6. Where are you going in this one?
Neither of those teams I'm interested in betting on. I'm looking at the total here. New Jersey 9-9 to the under this year, or the over, basically dead even. Tampa Bay 8-10 to the under, and I like the under in this game. And I know that it always feels tough betting unders with Tampa Bay, given how much scoring power they have. And this is a team that just allowed 6 goals to Vancouver. You were just speaking about it recently. 3 games ago, they allowed 7 to the New York Rangers. They came back the following game, kept the opponent's shots down to 23. Won that game 3-1, held Florida only 1 goal. The Tampa Bay Lightning defensively are as good as it gets, guys. This is a team that, although they allowed 6 and 7 in their 2 of their last 3 games, prior to that, I mean, this team barely allows anybody over 2 goals. This team can shut teams down, and New Jersey is not a team that is looking to play high-scoring games. New Jersey is one of those 3-2 hockey teams. You know, how many? 3-2, 4-1. 5 is the key number in New Jersey games because so many of their games are going to end around that number. And you take a look now, they played Washington. It was 3-2. Chicago was 4-3, but New York Islanders, there's another 5, 3-2. You know, Anaheim was 4-1. LA Kings were 4-1. This team, both of these teams want to play to the under, and now they're playing against each other. And Tampa Bay probably got a scathing attack from Coops. I think they come out and play one of their best games of the year. And I don't know what happened to the goaltending. Do you know they held Vancouver to 17 shots and still allowed 6 goals? I think this game has got 2-1, 3-1 written all over it. I think we're going to see a mighty defensive performance on both sides. I like the under here, guys. As far as the side goes, I would look at Tampa Bay in regulation only because they're coming off of that horrible loss to Vancouver. And if you go down through their last 5-6 years, when they do lose a game that badly, they usually bounce back good. And we saw that with the Rangers 7-3 loss. They came back and beat Florida 3-1. So I would lean on Tampa Bay in regulation, but I like the under the most.
Yeah, no, I get it, Prez. You know, and you look at the injuries and guys that aren't playing, the guys that could be questionable, like Hedman and Cirelli, questionable for Tampa Bay, but likely get in there. You look at New Jersey, obviously, the biggest one is Hughes out. Hamilton, lower body injuries listed as questionable.
Yeah.
Dandanov, Kovacevic, so Pesci. There's a lot of guys who haven't played or who are missing tonight, but it's kind of like that next man up mentality. But when there's that many injuries, Andrew, do you even want to touch a side with that many injuries, or you look to the total and just say with some patchwork lines, maybe the timing isn't there?
Did you guys hear how Jack Hughes got injured? Like all the rumors that went around with him. He met up with Frank the Tank from Barstool at a diner or like a dinner, and he cut himself like eating steak or something like that. They haven't come out with the actual reason for what happened, but whatever it was, at dinner he cut himself, and it's bad enough. I thought he was going to be out for like a week or two, guys. He's out for like 4 to 6 weeks. Like that's kind of crazy for an injury there. But yeah, I don't know. Did his thumb completely fall off? We don't really know. But yeah, those Hughes brothers, they got some troubles with injuries. And yeah, you're right, Carm. Listing those injuries, I don't know if I really want to worry about betting aside. And Prez, you know how it is sometimes with sides. I mean, you cap NFL and all kinds of other sports as well. Sometimes it can kind of be one of those situations where a team gets injured and then all of a sudden they rally around the injuries and they end up pulling off the win. So I prefer to look towards the total, just like yourself. I think that's probably the way to go in this game, at least until the injuries settle in for a bit. Like Carm, I'll never forget, like Dave Koken used to always talk about it during COVID. Like you literally just had to bet on the team in college football with the players that had COVID the most, or the teams that had the most injuries or the most sicknesses. Like the line would go the other direction. You'd get the best value you could, and you take that team because everybody would overreact. So who knows? Maybe the Devils could be a spot, but I'm with Prez. I do think the total is the way to go here.
Prez, what do you have up at WagerTalk to promote? It is $5 customer appreciation day at WagerTalk. And for anyone who did visit the site, there was a Cloudflare problem which put down Twitter and a lot of the sites. Bet365 was down, and WagerTalk was down as well too. But it's up and working now, and all those packages are up. What do you got going?
What do I have going? Thanks for asking, brother. So I got a $5 play in hockey tonight, which I absolutely love. It's a 3% play, and I'm really dominating hockey right now in my 3, 4, 5%. But more importantly, I have a 5% NHL play tonight. Now, to give you perspective, from a sales perspective, Tuesday would be the worst day in the world to have a 5% play. It'll get completely overshadowed by all the $5 Tuesday plays. And I did not want to have a 5% play tonight. We're only allowed to have a few of those plays a night. They're our biggest selling plays. And I felt like, bummer, man. I don't want to do it on a Tuesday. That's how much I love my 5% play tonight, that I had no choice. I tried everything to not release a 5% play tonight, and I had no choice. I have a 5%. And if you buy my, well, screw that. If you want my 5% play for half price, use the promo code PREZ50, PREZ50. You can go over to WagerTalk, you get my 5% play for half price. That's $17.50. PREZ50. I love both my plays tonight. I would join me for both of them, but obviously my 5% play, I am salivating over this play, Carmine and Andrew. Thank you for having me, guys. Make sure to watch the best betting show ever. Andrew, do you know the story of how the show was named?
I don't.
Oh,
I can't remember.
So Joe and I were doing a few shows just to get into rhythm, and we sent them to Dan and said, Dan, what do you think? And Dan said, holy shit, it's the best betting show ever. And we're like, that's the name. So I want to shout out Dan. Thank you, Dan, for naming our show.
Wow. Okay. Who knew?
When you feel something, Prez, you got to let it out. When you feel something, you got to let it out.
You will forever be known as the guy who named our show, Dan Alexander. Lots of love, guys.
That used to be the tagline for Rod and Jeremy. If you feel something, you've got to let it out. Best of luck with your plays, Perez. Andrew, if you're still there, or was Andrew just a guest on the show today and it's just Dan and I running the... Oh, there he is. Hey, thanks for coming back. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
What's up, Carm?
Andrew, you know, it is crazy. It's a good slate of games tonight across the board. And I wish I could put a play out on every single one of them. But that's why we're breaking down 4 games.
One of those days. One of those days. And sometimes they're good, sometimes bad. Like yesterday, I only liked one game on the card. I ended up on the wrong end of it because that Edmonton game finished 5-1. At 4-1, you know, you're hoping for an Edmonton, some kind of Edmonton goal, make it 4-2, and you're going to get 4 minutes of empty net magic. How about Rob Razor? Did you hear his comments during the Edmonton game? What did he say?
With 4 minutes left, the Edmonton Oilers pull the goalie, and one of the guys goes, the Oilers with the empty net, and Rob Ray goes, it's been empty all night.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Here is a guy who does not care. He says what he means, and he means what he says. He said that last night during the game. He goes, the net's been empty all game. Kudos to him, man. You want commentators who aren't homers, who are going to call the game and call teams out. God bless him, man. That was absolutely awesome.
I'll tell you, Carm, last night, I'm kind of feeling sour because there's been times where I've come on here and I've had a team total bet the previous night and the team lost like 5-4 or 6-4 or whatever. And I can still say, wow, I still hit my team total, even though the team lost. Well, it was a huge price on Carolina yesterday. And I realized, because I was debating, is it Carolina team total over or is it Bruins team total under? But either way, I liked Carolina. I'm not much of a regulation guy anymore, and I don't play puck lines very much. And Carolina dominated that game from start to finish. And your boy had over 3.5 goals for Carolina. And I'm sitting here thinking, I loved the right team. I picked the right side, and I just wanted to avoid the juice. And as I've preached on the show for so long, it's helped me in the long haul. This year, my team totals percentage is not nearly the same as it was to start last year. We are on a pretty good run with them right now, but that can be a bit annoying, you know, like, and the worst part was there were so many power plays for the Bruins in the third period. There wasn't much 5-on-5 time for Carolina to get that fourth goal. And the only difficult thing I will say about Carolina getting the over 3.5 is they might have to be one of those teams for me where I look towards the opponent under 2.5 if I'm playing them, because if they get a lead, Carm, they're happy to protect the lead. So that was a bit frustrating for me. That was there's losses you have where you can just move on the next day, but that one was a bit tough for me because I felt like I had the clear as day right side, and they just couldn't get to that magic number for me.
Yeah. Listen, anytime, whether it's team totals, whether it's totals in which you're taking the over, I always say and it's a big part of the game. Penalties are a part of the game. Power plays are part of the game. In the Sabres game yesterday, 3 penalties in the first period, 1 power play goal, and then no more penalties the rest of the game, except for 2 offsetting penalties in the 20th minute of the second period. So no power plays. You're playing 5-on-5 basically the whole game. So it is always tough. But with that said, we got to go and bring in none other than, as you've aptly named him, Don Julio Buster. He's not wearing red. He doesn't have that that screwy little background there. Don Buster, how you doing, man?
Our Habs aren't giving you a reason to wear red right now. That's the problem.
Exactly, Andrew. Exactly. I'm doing well, Carmine. Actually, you guys have been talking a lot about this Edmonton Buffalo game. I took Mrs. Buster over to see McJesus play. And let's just say after the game, she said, it doesn't look like he was walking on water tonight. And I'll tell you right now, that Edmonton team, this is going to be the exact same thing that's happened in the last 2 years, right? They look terrible. Their defense looks terrible. Their defense was terrible last night, Carmine. I heard you say that you had it over. I mean, if that's a team that, other than Buffalo, I don't know, like you say, you watch a game, 3 times they were walking in kind of on a half breakaway, and instead of shooting the puck, like the fans were going crazy because Buffalo's
Buster,
and
you
they
were
still
there,
had
but
5.
Crazy.
You were there, but the line that the Sabres put out against Connor McDavid whenever he was on the ice absolutely shut him down. He couldn't get those end-to-end rushes. He couldn't get the puck going. The Knobloch switched right away in the second period. He switched to Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line, and that wasn't working. Completely shut down the Oilers, unfortunately for me. But with that said, Buster,
that's all.
With that said, Buster, let's see if you're going to piss off Gianni Detroit and any of the staff that we absolutely love, the family in Detroit, because you're going to break down the Seattle-Detroit game. Detroit 172, Seattle plus 140. Total sits here at 6. You can find the odds on Odds Logic, of course, or the WagerTalk free site, free live lines. Where are you going with this one, Buster?
Yeah, Carmine. I won't be getting anybody upset in the Detroit office. Seattle does start a 4-game road trip tonight in Detroit, and they've won 2 in a row, so there's something there. Detroit's won 2 of the last 3 games, but it is that dreaded 3rd game in 4 nights. It also is even worse than that. They're playing their 4th game in 6 nights, so it's really not the best spot for the Red Wings tonight. That's for sure. Detroit did win all 3 games last year, but you have to lay 160, 165 with the Red Wings the last time I looked. That seems like a lot here, especially with the bad spot for Detroit. However, Seattle, even though they've won 2 straight, this is going to be the first game of that road of 4-game road trip. And, teams like to, want to start fast on that first game road trip. But you know what? The eye test tells me, geez, that Detroit club has been playing well. I mean, they outplayed New York on Sunday, like just crushed them. But they could, and then had a hard time scoring goals. That's sometimes a problem. They usually don't have hard time scoring goals in Detroit. But because of that situation, I just can't play Detroit. And because Seattle is starting that first game, I think it's just a bad spot to be laying Detroit money or even taking Seattle here. I think the side's a tough take. What we do like the over, as you had mentioned, Carmen. There's 5.5s over 30 on the market and 6 on the market right now. FanDuel and DraftKings at 5.5 over 30. Last time I looked, we actually put that play out for clients earlier this morning. The two situations I just mentioned, I like them coming into this for an over. It seems they help overs with because Detroit going to be tough playing some defense after like I say, 3 and 4 nights, had a tough game against the Rangers there, although they dominated. And being Seattle's first road, we know teams want to get off to a fast start. Now, this is going to be the Kraken's third road trip. So the first game of the first 2 of the road trips, easy overs over this 5.5. They both land on 7, I believe. Now, Detroit playing in that third game in 4 nights, 4th and 6th. I'm not sure if that defense is going to be there. It's going to be a little bit hard to come by. And like I say, when they're at home, they tend to play more offensively. And I think they'll get a little bit more puck luck tonight too, because they've been playing well, but they just have had some trouble scoring goals. There's no doubt about that. Now let's look at what happens when these two teams get together. They've had 6 overs and 2 pushes, and that's the 2 pushes, that's 6. So obviously, every game, if you get the 5.5 embedded over 30, every one of those games, all 8 games, over the 5.5. So we like that there. Seattle, as we all know, is normally kind of middle of the road club. You could even call them a little bit of an under club. And Detroit, when they're home, they've been a pretty good over club lately, at least. They're 4-1-1 the last 6 to the over. And what I liked with Detroit to score some goals tonight as well is that they get to face the number 29th penalty kill in Seattle. And like I say, Detroit, they look like a good club moving forward. They need to score some goals, that's for sure. And they need to get goaltending like a lot of teams, right? So our play for this breakdown of the Detroit-Seattle, we will play Detroit-Seattle over the total.
Yeah, Buster, and then I'll let Andrew jump in if he's got any questions. I'm looking at this game, and sometimes I want to sort of key in on that opening 20 minutes of the game. And there's hard to find any data for the first period that you can actually make a case for. Detroit at home has only had the lead in 1 game after 20 minutes. They've lost 6. They've pushed 3 of those games. Seattle on the road have never had the lead after 20 minutes. 6 losses, 2 pushes to the first period money line. As far as the over goes, the over 1.5, slightly profitable for both teams. I think Detroit 6-3, and it's I believe it's 5-3 for Seattle. So a little bit of profit on both sides, but not enough to step out and make a bet. Would you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Seattle Kraken crack me up though, guys, because they're a different team at home versus on the road. They're a different team at home versus on the road. I think like that when I look at them, how they play defensively, like their win-loss record, like Buster, how much is that a factor for you here? I was, looking at the numbers and looking at this team. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that they have the best home ice advantage in the league by any means, but it does feel like they play better defensively, especially at home, maybe. So does that play any factor to you? I mean, the fact that they're going on the road in Detroit, does the road home split mean a lot to you in this game?
Well, I'm not sure if it means a lot to me, but there's no doubt they do play a little bit better defense at home. And actually, I have all kinds of stats, but Carmine doesn't want me talking for 5 to 10 minutes here. So, but one of the stats I had, one of the stats I had, Seattle have gone over 5 of their 8 road games this year. So, and well over this 5.5 total. So, there's something to that point there, Andrew, that you mentioned, is that Seattle do play a little bit more defense at home. There's no doubt about that. And of course, that's one of my little parameters that go into a whole bunch of things to make me decide whether I'm going to bet a side or bet an over or an under.
All right.
Buster, $5 customer appreciation day at WagerTalk. What do you got loaded for today or long term for the weekend that customers can get for $5 today?
Yeah, tonight we have, since it's NHL, of course, we have our 4% best bet up at the site for National Hockey League. It's a total play, and we are number 1 overall betting 4% best bet totals lifetime at the site. Also, the powers that be have some great deals going on. Not only $5 customer appreciation day on Tuesdays, but there's a bunch of them. You go on to our website at Don Buster and check those out. But I'm going to mention the one which expires tonight, and it's a really good deal. You get 10 days for less than $10 a day, which includes all 5% plays. It's only $99. That expires for all the cappers tonight. Go over to Don Buster and pick ours up for $99.
All right, brother. We wish you the best of luck. When are you heading back to the land of the sunny avocados and Corona beers and everything else?
December 4th is the date, Carmine. That's the date that
December
we'll be
4th.
going back, December 4th. So looking forward to that, because believe me, even going to that Buffalo game last night, I hadn't been for years. I forget how cold that walk is from the casino over to Kmart, to the stadium there. I like to call it the Odd still, but it's not the Odd, obviously. It's funny, though, one quick little thing. When and you'll remember this, Carmine, Andrew was just a twinkle in his father's eye when this was going on. But when you went to the Odd Club all the time, you'd walk in, you'd turn around the corner, and they used to sell fried bologna sandwiches with cheese, and they also had the beef on wicks. And I'll tell you, they have a setup in Buffalo on the main floor that still have the beef on wick, and they have it set up like the old Odd. So we're sitting in the seats of the old auditorium back in the 80s, and so it was pretty interesting. And those beef on wicks over there, I tell you, they're just as they do that food well. So anyways,
how was the crowd, Buster? I got to ask you, like, what I mean, this team, it's Carm we joke around on the show, but if we're being serious, like, it is a problem right now, and people have been talking about maybe trades for Tage Thompson or different players, and then the owner and manager of the team are saying, no, Tage Thompson's off limits. I mean, at the end of the day, they do have some young players, with Jack Quinn and Josh Doan and some of these guys. Like, I don't know what the solution is, but the fans aren't happy, and they've tried to rebuild like 5 or 6 times. What was the vibe like? I mean, obviously people were there to watch McDavid. What was the vibe in the arena?
Yeah, the place was full. And like you said, because people were there to watch McDavid. And but I'll tell you, the Buffalo fans, they're diehards. I was sitting beside a guy. He's telling me he's had seasons tickets there for 30 years at the game, but they're just, it's full of misery. And he even has Bill's seasons tickets. He was telling me he went to the game on Sunday. So the Buffalo fans, they are diehards, and they love their club. And it's been a lot of misery for that city, but you have to, I love fans with a lot of heart, and there's no doubt Buffalo fans have that.
A lot of misery. Listen to this guy. You know what misery is?
That is a lot of misery, Carmine.
Yeah. Misery is December 4th when you're going through customs, and I've alerted them, and you get that blue glove treatment in the side room. That's what misery is going to be. But anyways, Buster, we wish you the best of luck. Good luck with your plays tonight, and we'll talk to you later on this week. You're going to make another appearance on the show.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
Andrew.
Appreciate it.
See you, Buster. I got to say this point here real quick. Habs Relic says Kevin Adams isn't going to start on a rebuild for the next GM. And I get it, and I've heard people say that on other podcasts as well. Yeah. It makes sense. But let's be honest, Habs Relic, what he's done hasn't worked. So you only have one option, because it's not like they're in the middle stage or the top stage. They're still in the bottom of the league. So that's kind of really how it works. Also, DeMarcus says, come on, Carm, that's crazy to say of you. Always the crazy comment when the guest is on the way out.
Yeah, Don and I are good friends, so I'm still making the call to Canadian Border Security. We're going to make sure he's not taking any of our good stuff home to Mexico with him. But Andrew, with that said, Tage Thompson, the guy is such a physical player out there. He pretty much ragdolled a player yesterday in the game on his way to the net. He just kind of shot putted him out of the way. It was hilarious to see. Good on them. They won a game. They're now tied with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Buffalo Sabres, for last place in the Eastern Conference. Yes, last place, the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference. A 2 p.m. General manager Brad Trevelyan, whose brother owns all the Boston Pizzas in Canada. 2 p.m. news conference. We'll see what they announce. I thought it might be Austin Matthews gone for the year, Andrew, but he was on the ice this morning with Chris Tanev skating. First time he's skated since taking that hit from in the Boston Bruins game. So we'll see what they have to say about him. But I think he's gone long term. Him being on the ice means nothing because we know, going back to the whole Colorado thing, and one of their guys, Landeskog, he was on the ice quite frequently in the mornings and didn't play for 2.5 years. So we'll see what happens there. Andrew, it is such a nice day today for a coffee. And you know what goes well with coffee?
Bring him on. Bring him
Yes.
on. A shot of Bailey's.
There he is. Oh, my God. He is wearing his Patrick Mahomes colored jersey, Kermit. I'm sorry. It's jump on Patrick Mahomes week. 5-5, the Chiefs. Bri, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. And I just want to make 2 quick comments before we get into the game. Number one, if Dan Alexander said that was the greatest betting show ever, you learn to read through what people say and what they actually mean. It means the rest of these shows suck, is what he's trying to say, especially if he's not on it. Now, if he's on it, now that's a good one. But Dan's a great guy, and I'm glad.
When Prez is on the show, you just say whatever you have to, Brian, to get him the hell off the show. So, yeah, sure, it's Prez. It's the best betting show ever. Just please get out of here.
Just don't say leave because he'll never leave.
Exactly. Exactly. You had to get him the hell out of here.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that 4-box there, Dan. Feel free to come back anytime. 4-box looks kind of cool there. I like it.
But if you could replace your picture with AI Dan instead, we would really love it. Dan hates my AI stuff, but I had to pop that in there this morning for him just to give him a little bit of.
We'll get to see how awesome your graphic looks. The computer's doing an amazing job. They'll see during the pick of the day. You'll see Carm's amazing AI swap image.
Oh, shut up! Shut up! AI. Listen, AI. It's here, man. We're all going to be replaced. It's going to be AI Andrew, AI Carm. The good thing is AI. All of the robots are already bald, so I'm good. It's
AI is not betting team totals. That's why I'm the AI only bets sides and totals here, not team totals. So that's why AI won't replace me. I'm telling you right now.
This is the best. This we can call it the best damn sports show, whatever. This is the best sports show there is. Puck Time every morning, because we have our loyal followers, the Pucksters, tune in each and every day. And if they can't make it live, they are in the comment section later on, sharing info, who they like, shot props, game props. You guys do it all. We absolutely love you guys for doing that. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free to hit that little button that says subscribe. Bri, how did you come up with these ones, man? The Calgary Flames and the Chicago Blackhawks, an absolute coin flip as far as the odds go, -110 both ways. I'm seeing various totals on this one. I'm seeing 5.5s and I'm seeing a 6 as far as our consensus numbers goes. But on the WagerTalk live lines, pretty much some 5.5s across the board. Where are you going with this one?
Well, when you get 2 hosts and you got 3 guests on the show, that doesn't leave me a lot to pick from when I'm the 3rd guest. I do want to point out that when Buster was on here, he talked about Hockey Jesus not walking on water yesterday. Well, yeah, he did. Frozen water is ice. So I'll have to disagree with him on there. I know down in Mexico, they don't have to worry about ice, but getting back to the game, people are all talking, and Toronto's another team dealing with a lot of injuries. People are talking about Chicago. And they're going to come back to to the pack and all, but Chicago's got some injuries today, and I think we can take advantage of that. Nick Foligno got hurt in the last game. Bertuzzi's still out, but where are the Calgary Flames all of a sudden worth being a pick 'em on the road? I haven't seen it. On the season they came in, my projected points was 81.5 projected point total. But even by that standards, they've been a disappointment. They're talking about cleaning house in Calgary, trading some of these players. Now they got to go on the road. Not the best situation for Calgary. They currently sit with a 5-12-3 record, minus 19 net goal differential, and they only have 13 points. That's 3 points worse than Nashville. The Nashville Predators for the worst team in hockey right now. The Blackhawks won the previous meeting 4-0, and they're really having a solid season. They got a 9-5-4 record, 22 points and plus 12 net scoring advantage on the season. And out of their games, they played 10 of their 12 games on the road. So they played 10 at home and 12 on the road. So this is a team that I think is better than what a lot of people think. And despite the injuries in this game, I still like Chicago. I think it's a bargain price. The major advantage in this game is the special teams. The Blackhawks are very good in that regard. While the Flames ranked 32nd in the power play, 23rd in the penalty kill. And it's been a while since Calgary's been on the road, but they're now on a 1-9 run on the road. In those 10 games, they've only scored 18 goals in the process. It's a third of 4 games in Chicago. They split the first 2. Chicago should be a lot higher than the number they're having right here, minus 110, minus 120 in this range. Chicago, even with the injuries they have, most of their younger guys have been the ones doing all the damage for them this year. So just because they've got some injuries does not mean they cannot beat the Calgary Flames at home, a team that right now you have to really question what they're going to do the rest of the year. And you mentioned Buffalo with making some changes and getting ready some players. Calgary's ready to do that as well as Nashville. So should be some trades coming up pretty soon as some of these teams are really tanking it for the rest of the season.
Sorry, I muted myself there because I had to cough. But yeah, Bri, listen, I fully agree with you. You look at it and people, and myself included, figured at some point the Chicago Blackhawks will cool down, but they're not right now. They're winning games, and while they're winning games, should be taking advantage of it. 110 at home, even with some injuries against a Calgary team that doesn't win very often. I think they've only won one of their last 5 games, and that was a 2-0 victory for Calgary in a game in which I had the puck line as a part of a pod play. That's the only game that they've won. Not very good on the road as well, too. Sometimes you have to ride the hot team, even if you expect at the end of the year that they're going to be near the bottom of the standings. One thing's for sure, the Calgary Flames are going to be at the bottom of the standings. They're not going to turn this season around. I think they'll be in, like, Andrew, what would you think, seller's mode at this point?
Yeah, I think that there's a reason why we don't really see trades in November or even early December is because teams don't know what they are yet. I think typically closer to around Christmas and then January is when we start to realize who teams really are, Carm. So I'm curious, like you were talking about Pittsburgh yesterday, Carmen. I'm not taking a shot at what you were saying, but Pittsburgh right now, they don't think they're bad yet, right? Yeah. So they don't want to sell anybody off until they know they're bad yet. So it's very interesting to look at some of these teams. I know me and you always take shots at the Maple Leafs, but they're in kind of a unique situation right now because they don't have that many prospects. They don't have that many first-round picks anymore. So they don't really have a lot to trade for in order to build their team up, but they're also really injured. So how do you go about, not hitting the panic button, but also trying to salvage the season? And I know it's November 18th, but at the end of the day, like you mentioned, they're last place in the conference with the Buffalo Sabres. So I do find it very, very interesting because some of these teams, don't really know who they are quite yet. And I think that, Brian, can we correlate this a little bit to baseball? Would you say there's a certain time of year in baseball where you can bet favorites more than others and you can bet dogs more than others? And, teams have almost started to give up in baseball. But earlier on in the season, they might not know, hey, we're not that bad, and then the confidence kind of hits you and you're like, man, we're going to win 40 games this season. And then it kind of hits you a little bit, right?
Well, that's the thing with baseball as well as hockey is you always have these teams. They go from last place to first place, and a lot of it happens in the locker room, and we're not there to know about it. So it's you can't give up in baseball. Look at Toronto. At one point, they looked like they were going to be out of it, and then all of a sudden they got hot. And hey, now everybody's talking about next season. I can't wait for next season to start. And look at Cleveland. Cleveland was the same way. Then they got on that hot streak later on. So yeah, you can never tell. But when you're in a situation with Toronto with the injuries, at least you think you can get some of those guys back. Some of these other teams, even without the injuries, it's going to be really tough for them to make that big jump all the way to the playoffs.
Yeah, the farther the Leafs, I joked around about the fact that the Sabres and the Leafs are bottom of the Eastern Conference, and you can look at it; they're only like 5 or 6 points back of a playoff spot. But the farther you drift off, the harder it becomes, even when your starters come back. And Andrew, to your point of like the of trades, this is the worst time I think a team can look to trade some of their players away, because it is not yet a seller's market. As we get closer, and Andrew, what you talked about, teams understanding what their identity is, who they are, and whether they can make a run. We get close to that trade deadline a month out, and we saw some moves last season a month out. That is when teams know what holes they need to plug. Mm-hmm. And if you're holding those players, you're going to get back some better prospects. Right now, if you're trying to sell, it's not a seller's market right now. You're not going to get what you need right now. So you got to give this season probably like the 50-game mark, and we start to see some players move. I don't think it's panic mode yet. The Titanic hasn't sunk on some of these teams as of yet. Speaking of Titanic, the Vegas Golden Knights and the New York Rangers, Brian, I want to get your thoughts on this one. You and Andrew, I'm going to get your thoughts on this game, because this is going to be part of my pod play, and I'll just give you my thoughts then. But Andrew, you first. 145 on Vegas, plus 119 on New York. This was a vastly different line at 3 p.m. yesterday. It has come down. The value on New York has faded away. Total sits here at 6.
Carm, it's very interesting here because this New York Rangers team has 110% been better on the road than they have been at home. It's just been a clear road versus home split. And a lot of times we talk about, hey, this team has looked better at home. This team has looked better on the road. Can it be sustained? Well, right now, this New York Rangers team, the game they're coming off of, another MSG poor outing for this New York team. So part of me does think to myself, well, maybe getting on the road again could be a good thing for this New York Rangers team. But then I remembered that this Vegas team has lost 4 straight games at home. Prior to that one, they had only scored 1 goal and won 1-0 at home against the Detroit Red Wings. I like Vegas here. I think this is the spot here. They're not going to forget about those home performances that they had. I think in a couple of these road games, especially that one against the Blues, played a very, very solid road game. A couple of their star players found their game again, and I feel like this is a spot where they can use their depth against the New York Rangers. The Rangers are a tougher team. They are getting better offensively, but I think when I look at this Vegas team, I love how they play. I love the physicality they bring, but also the depth they have on their roster. And when I look at depth, I certainly believe Vegas has the edge over the New York Rangers, at least for right now. So despite a little bit of chalk here, I do like this Vegas team. One team's been playing very well on the road, but I'm not going to forget, and I don't think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to forget, that the last 4 times that their season ticket holders went to watch them, they had a bad effort or they choked away a game. I think this is an important home game for Vegas. I like them tonight. And Carm, I'll just mention this because I got to head out, actually. I've got one $5 play up in the NHL. We are on an 11-2 all sports run. You guys can get that again just for $5 at WagerTalk.com. NFL continues to do very, very well. We had our 4% best bet yesterday. George Pickens over 65.5 receiving yards. Felt like the whole world was on it. I was a bit worried. The guy gets like close to 150 yards. You got to love that. So 11-2 all sports run. You guys can get my $5 play at WagerTalk. But yes, Carm, the gloves are off. We might be going head to head tonight. That's it for me, guys.
All right, we are going head to head. Get out of here. Bri, give us your thoughts. You're close. You get the info from, from whether it's locals, whether it's the news, whether it is the team reporters on the Vegas Golden Knights. So always good to have your thoughts on this team.
Well, I'm glad Andrew decided to leave, so then I could say he's wrong in this game.
You could have told him to his face.
We don't know, but I cannot play the Golden Knights in this game. Yes, they've lost 4 straight at home. Well, they lost 3 straight at home before that. It's not like they're not giving the energy. They're playing with a lot of energy. They just cannot get into their offense. And if you take a look at the Rangers have played 4 road games this month. They've won them all. And in those 4 games, they've given up 7 total goals. They're playing great defense. And that's the one thing that Vegas has been able to do. They've been able to play pretty good defense and keep these young goaltenders in the game. I'm either taking the money with the Rangers here, or I'm playing this game under the total. Just don't trust Vegas. Teams, and I talked about this earlier with Chicago, and all, teams have ups and downs all season long. Do I think Vegas is a playoff team? Of course they're a playoff team. They will be one of the better teams in this conference at the end of the season. But right now they're not playing well. And you're continually finding ways to put up numbers for Vegas that just aren't the way they're playing right now. It's not worthy. So, I'm on the Rangers. I use them as my free play today. And I do like the under also. And since it's $5 Tuesday, I've got a hockey play up of 4% in hockey right now. I've got 5 games in college basketball for only $5. I'm on an 8-1 run in college basketball, 16-4 overall. But we try to be as visible as we can be, transparent. And I lost my 5% play on the Boston Bruins. Bad play. They didn't play nearly as well as I thought they were going to, and we lost it. I went 4-1 yesterday. That was my only loss. Like I said, 16-4. Everything's working out great, but I apologize for that one. It was just a bad play in retrospect.
Yeah, Brian, listen, I always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you've proven over the years, last year, the year before, NHL hockey is one of your fortes. You do extremely well on it. And that's why I think, like even the 7-day $99 package where you end up getting 10 days for $99 is the best way to judge someone, except for, instead of one game. So listen, man, I wish you the best of luck. I probably won't see you this year. I'll see you in the new year, but I'll make a trip down to Vegas. But with that said, best of luck to you, man, today and the rest of the week. And I'll see you. I think you're coming on Thursday's Puck Time show as well, too. So look forward to seeing you then. Guys, Andrew obviously had to go, but his same game parlay is going to be tweeted out. So make sure you follow him, Andrew McInnes Picks, on Twitter. Follow me as well, too, at Carmine Bianco WT. Now, my pod plays, I normally come up with these pod plays the day before, not the morning of. And if I like a line, I bet it as part of the pod play. I drop, as Dan, our producer, will say, a crappy AI version of it in our channel. And then he puts it up on the screen. There it is right there. It's a little small. I didn't go with the 16:9 aspect. But the New York Rangers yesterday at 2:30, 3 o'clock were plus 140. And now that number is down to plus 119, plus 120 in some spots. Still like this play a lot. I don't care the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights have lost 4 straight games at home. This is a team that's 4-3-3 on home ice. They've only won 4 of their 10 games. Plus 1 goal differential, 4 straight losses. You look at the Rangers. Rangers are 9-1-1 on the road. This team could not score to save their lives at home, getting shut out in 5 of their first 7 games at home. 9-1-1 on the road, 6 straight wins, 38-21 goal differential. I am going with the New York Rangers to continue their run. This is a team that people were down on early in the season, but right now they're right there. They're 5 points out of first and only about 2 points out of a playoff spot, playing some very good hockey. And I'm going to take them here in this spot as your pod play. So that is it as far as the pod goes. We won yesterday's pod with Vancouver, Florida, easily shooting over that total of 6. Let's try and keep that pod growing. As far as $5 plays, one best bet going tonight in the NHL. And I have one play up for NFL this coming Sunday that you can get it for $5 up until midnight tonight. And then it reverts back to its original pricing of $25. So grab that package, or one of the great deals that we have, including the NHL full season and the World Cup next summer, all in one package as well too, guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. For myself, Dan Alexander, Don Buster, The Prez, Andrew McInnes, and Brian Leonard, and pretty much everyone else who tuned in, this is Puck Time. We'll see you tomorrow.
today, the gold standard of sports betting shows, the talk, and we walk the walk. It is $5 Tuesday, locked in for another loaded day. Jesse Schul is going to break down a couple of college football teams. We always say bet on or fade. We just know we're fading teams. So he's going to give us two teams that we're going to fade. Then we're going to break down Michigan State, Kentucky. That is in college basketball. Brian Power is going to join us to talk Pistons and the Hawks. Pistons, pretty interesting, polarizing team on the way to making some pretty good strides. Duran has been really interesting, so we'll get his thoughts on them. Kansas and Duke, big game. Talk college basketball. And then I'm going to break down an NBA doubleheader featuring the Grizzlies and the Spurs, Suns and Trailblazers. And Dan and I are going to revisit our season win totals in the NFL before the season started. We're going to see how bad or good we're looking. Dan, we didn't do too bad. Like, you can look really foolish, and we did not do too bad. There's only a couple that we look really dumb on, but honestly, I think we didn't do too bad. So Dan's going to reveal his most revealing, surprising thing. I'm going to reveal mine. So buckle up. We got a great show. Please hit the like button. Appreciate you guys for joining us in the chat. It's raining. It's just so dreary and glooming here. But let's rain down some winners with Jesse Schul. Jesse, welcome. Happy Tuesday. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Had a good week, but unfortunately, last week's show, I tossed up an air ball. But that was following a 6-0 week. So 0-2 last week. You know, we gave a little bit back. Is what it is.
It happens. You're the best in the world. You hit 55%. This means we're going to lose 45% of the time. But let's get after the winning start here. Give us two football teams to fade. We're going to fade them hard, and we're going to win on this one. Let's start with Vandy. What do you not like about Vandy?
I think it's a great time to sell high on Vandy. A lot of people were doubting them early in the season. It seems like nobody's doubting them anymore. They're a 9.5-point favorite at home against Kentucky. That's probably going to go to 10. I like it at 9.5. I absolutely love it at 10. It would probably be on my premium card if it gets there. Vandy's 8-2 overall, 4-2 in the SEC. They've got some nice wins on the season, but they're not exactly beating up SEC teams by more than a touchdown. They've got one SEC win by more than a touchdown this season. That came against South Carolina, and South Carolina was without Sellers, their starting quarterback, in that game. They've got a 45-38 win over Auburn. They're facing a Kentucky team that's won 3 straight games. I had a 5% play on Kentucky as a home dog against Florida. They won that game 38-7. Kentucky has turned their season around. They made a change at quarterback. Cutter Boley has been far better than their original starter. He's thrown for 1,780 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 picks. So he's still a little turnover prone, but at least he's moving the ball. He's completing 69% of his passes. If you look at previous meetings between these two teams, Vandy won the last one 20-13 at Kentucky last year. Kentucky won 45-28 the previous season, and Vandy won 24-21 back in 2022 at Kentucky. The road team, I believe, has won 3 straight in this series. They tend to play close games. I just don't see Vandy blowing out Kentucky the way Kentucky's playing. And Vandy, you know, they had their heart set on the playoffs. They had their heart set on Heisman Trophy for Diego Pavia. Neither of those things are going to happen. But all the credit to Vandy. They've had a fantastic season. They probably win this game, but I don't think they're covering the 9.5 points. So we'll take Kentucky as a live dog here.
All right, we're moving on to Pitt as your next team to fade. Why are we fading Pitt here?
Well, Georgia Tech's only a 2.5-point favorite, and I just think Georgia Tech is the better team, even if it's just by a little bit. Both these teams, 9 wins. Both these teams, 6-1 in the ACC. I don't know if you remember, Andy, but back in the preseason, I gave out Georgia Tech as one of my dark horses to make the college football playoffs. There was some pretty big odds on that, and it's looking good, especially if they can win this game. I also had Texas A&M, by the way, and Illinois. Illinois is out of it, but A&M obviously looks pretty damn good as well. Georgia Tech is coming off a bit of an oopsie daisy with a 34 win at Boston College. I think that's a clear sign that they were looking ahead to this, the key game. I like the fact that they had a bye week heading into that game. They came into into last week's game almost 100% healthy, so that bodes well. Pitt, they're coming off a 37-15 loss against Notre Dame, and Narduzzi kind of said the quiet part out loud prior to that game. A reporter asked him, "Is this a must-win game?" And he just said, "Hell no, it's not an ACC game, so it doesn't matter." So it seems like they were taking the week off as well. But at the end of the day, Narduzzi versus Brent Key, there's a reason why Brent Key is the guy who's sought after and mentioned for all these head coaching openings at these big schools. I think Key is the better coach. Narduzzi's a great guy. He fields a competitive team, but he's expected to lose these games, keep it close and lose, and Key is expected to win these big games. And when you look at the quarterback comparison, you got Mason Heinchel, who's been very good for a freshman, but at the other side, you got Haynes King, and this guy is just a gamer. I don't know anybody who loves college football and doesn't love Haynes King. Haynes King's more experienced. Haynes King is a bad man. He's a tough MFer, and if Haynes King and Brent Key can't get this done, then I don't know as much about college football as I thought I did.
It's amazing how our opinions can differ week to week on teams, but they have to. Situational spots, and like you have to, right?
I better get this Georgia Tech win, because I just realized that's going to make a great clip for the haters if I don't.
No, Haynes King is a bad man. I'm surprised he's made it this far. I worry about his durability, but yeah, Georgia Tech, like they got that big game against Georgia coming up. That probably decides if they get in to the playoff or not. So it's college basketball season in full swing. You got Michigan State and Kentucky. What's your breakdown on this game?
Well, Andy, I love college basketball, but I love college football even more. So prior to the college football season, I scout all the teams. I know who all the projected starters are and the head coaches and all the movement and the personnel changes. I don't have time to do that in the middle of November, in the middle of football season for college basketball. So I'm kind of learning on the fly. We're 3 games into the season, so it's difficult. So I usually I tread lightly with the college hoops at this time of year. A lot of times I focus on totals. Not that I won't play sides, especially with top 25 teams. I'm certainly going to be familiar with both these teams, although both these teams have a bit of turnover. First glance at this matchup, though, you look at the number 12 ranked Kentucky against number 17 ranked Michigan State, and the line kind of makes sense if you look at it that way, Kentucky -4. But you look at the KenPom rankings, and you got Kentucky ranked number 4 and Michigan State ranked number 33. And at that point, Kentucky -4, 4.5. Last I looked, there was some 4s available on the board. It really looks like an advantageous bet for the Wildcats. I can't get there. They've got some things I like about Kentucky. They got a pair of senior guards. One of them, Denzel Aberdeen, who was on the championship team for Florida last year. He was a backup, but he played 20 minutes a game, was a pretty big part of the team. And then you've got a returner, Otega Owe, senior guard that averaged 16 points per game for Kentucky last year. So they're really solid at the guard position. They got a highly touted freshman center, Malachi Moreno. They look like a solid team. Michigan State, on the other hand, their top 2 scorers are guys that were backups and scored in single digits last year. And whether or not that is a negative or not remains to be seen, but it's not something I'd want to hang my hat on in this game if I was looking at taking the points. But as I mentioned, it's going to take more than a 3 or 4 game sample size for me to really get a handle on betting sides in college basketball. So I'm going to look at the total. And this looks like a potential pace war. We got a Michigan State team that ranks 316th nationally, averaging 68.9 possessions per game, which is roughly exactly in line with what the pace they played last season. And then we've got a Kentucky team that ranks 145th, averaging 74.2 possessions per game, also roughly in line with what they averaged last season. So that gives us a pretty clear idea of the pace that this game is going to be played at. And you look at the previous history between these two teams. At the last meeting, 88-87 in overtime. But in regulation, the score was tied 62-62. And the last three meetings between these teams, none of those three games reached 140 combined points. The total here sits at 153.5. Kentucky, to me, is a team that likes to play fast, but they strike me as a team that doesn't mind if a team wants to slow them. They're happy to play that game as well, or they certainly get sucked into playing that game as well. If you look at last year's schedule, you look at their games against, say, teams like Tennessee, 153.5 just looks like a big number. I think Michigan State's going to try and muddy this up a little bit and keep it under 150. So we'll take the under in this spot, Andy.
Nice. Like it. It's kind of impromptu question. Any teams you're looking to bet on, bet against college basketball? Is it too early to tell? Anything you've really noticed so far? You're keeping your eye on?
I've been involved with West Virginia a little bit. They've got a new coach. They've got the coach from North Texas. And obviously he likes to play slow, great defense. I think West Virginia had gone under in all their games until their last one. You're going to see a lot of low-scoring games involving West Virginia this year. I've already cashed in a few unders with them, so that's one team I've been looking at early.
Nice, good stuff. It's $5 Tuesday. What do you have up today?
I do have a college basketball total, and as you could probably guess, it's probably an under. I'm not going to tell you what game it is, though, unless you spend the $5. But we're coming off back-to-back 5% winners with college football. I mentioned the Kentucky winner 2 weeks ago, and then we had San Diego State against Boise State on Saturday. So we're looking at the card, looking for that next big 5% winner on Saturday in the upcoming week with college football as well.
Nice. Good stuff, Jesse. Great breakdowns. Thank you so much. Good luck to you. Let's keep the winning ways going. Jesse Schul, everyone, giving you guys some really good breakdowns in there. I forgot that Gianni is not with us on Tuesdays, so I looked at doing a Steam report. I got to be honest, guys. I cannot really find that much movement, and as always, at this time in the morning out in Vegas, there's just not a lot going on here. I can't find much in NBA. Nothing real big line moves. One of the plays that there is some movement on, Brian Powers is going to break down. You got some injuries in NBA, so I did not see anything there. College basketball, we're not going to get any movement till later on today. So you look at some of these line moves, and I'm not sure there's a whole lot to take away. We have a move up from Xavier, minus 9.5 up to 10.5. We got money coming in on St. Peter's on one of those games. But honestly, there's just not a lot going with the Steam report. I can check hockey to see if there's anything big going on. Not really a whole lot. Money's coming in on St. Louis. So we're fading Toronto a little bit. Money's coming in on Columbus. They're on the road at Winnipeg. But other than that, just not a whole lot going on. I guess I would say that there's pretty Rangers. They're on the road at Vegas. But it's a lot of road teams for there to be a Steam report on. So that's your basic Steam report. But again, it's a little early, and there's just not a whole lot on the board that we can get confirmation from. So, all right, let's go all around the world. Let's do some free plays here. We got NHL. We've got NBA. We've got a college football. Let's start with NHL, Lightnings, Devils. Let's go Brandon Hagel. Over 2.5 shots on goal. I normally don't like messing around with 2.5 shots on goal props. I like messing around with the 1.5s. But I can't ignore the numbers here. Over in 11 out of the last 14 games, he's averaging 6.4 shot attempts. That's over that 50% mark. And he doesn't have a great history against the Devils, but the Devils give up 18th most shots on goal. He went under against the Devils earlier this year, so I think that's why we're getting a better number tonight. We're going to the NBA, Nets and Celtics. I just love these players that are not everyone's talking about in the props market. Jordan Walsh, over 5.5 rebounds. He did not play at the beginning of the season. He was healthy scratched several times. But he's playing now, and if you've watched him, he is a defensive specialist, and that is always going to earn you more minutes. And now he's averaging over 10 rebound chances the last 7 games that he's played meaningful minutes in, and Brooklyn is bottom 10 allowing rebounds. So Jordan Walsh, as long as he keeps playing good defense, this guy's going to be on the court, and he's going to be given good minutes, and you can get these low numbers. And then this is off the WagerTalk free picks page, Michigan State at Iowa. Looking at the Spartans, plus 17. Iowa at home after a week of travel on the road. Last year, the Spartans won this by 12. They outgained them 468 to 283. And this is a matchup that has been fairly close over the years. 6 of the last 7 matchups decided by 12 or less. So looking at Michigan State at Iowa. It's $5 Tuesday. All handicappers at WagerTalk can bring up a best bet. I do this every Tuesday. I have an NBA player prop that is up. Absolutely love it. That game is going to be tonight. It's one of the late games. Encourage everyone to get that. Not much going on last night. We were 3-3 in props. We pretty much split all across the board, but we'll happily take a split rather than losing all of them. So $5 NBA best bet, that is up. We're having a really, really good month of November. We're up 49 units there. So encourage you to join with us. Player props is where it's at. It's what I've used to build my bankroll. Clients are very, very happy with NBA. So let's cash that $5 Tuesday play over at WagerTalk.com. Let's bring in Brian Power. Brian, you get Pistons, Hawks, Kansas, Duke. You got some pretty decent games here tonight. There's a little bit of line move in your NBA game. But first off, happy Tuesday. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well, Andy. You talk about $5 Tuesday. You know what? I'll break that down because it's college football. It's kind of a hard right turn here. So I'll tell the people about what I got going for $5 Tuesday. At the end, I'll go more. It is a college football play, of course. College football, despite a 5% loss on Saturday, has gone very well, actually. It's 13-3, number one at WagerTalk this month with all CFB, 81% run there. So 6-1. We'd won 6 in a row before the 5% play, of course. The one time it rained in San Diego, the one time a year, the one time I kind of didn't want it to. So that sucked. But we'll take 13-3 every time.
Absolutely, you'll take 13-3. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let's talk this Pistons and this Hawks game tonight. Duran might be in the running for one of the comeback players of the year. He's been fantastic. So, how do you break down this Eastern Conference matchup, Pistons and the Hawks? Lions pretty much a straight pick them. So, over under 230. So, you're pretty much who wins this game.
Yeah. Well, let's start off by talking about what I think a lot of people already understand. Nobody hotter than the Detroit Pistons right now in the association. 10 consecutive straight-up wins, 8-2 against the number during that same stretch. They're coming off a win last night against the Pacers. Andy, I don't need to tell you the Pacers been a brutal start to the season. Pistons beat them 127-112 on Monday. Jalen Duren, he returns after missing the previous 2 games and had a absolutely monster night. We're talking 31 points, 12 of 13 shooting, 15 rebounds. I saw this stat, and normally this isn't something I would spend a lot of time on, but it really kind of blew my mind. Duren was the first player since 2010 to have 30-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, and shoot better than 90% from the field. So quite the performance. And then you have Jenkins contributing a career-high 26 for this Pistons team last night. So we're talking about a group that got not just one, but 2 outlier individual efforts. Normally, Andy, I'd be a bit concerned about betting on a team like that, especially on the second night of a back-to-back. But the thing about Detroit, anyone who's been following them, you know this. They're getting contributions from so many different guys. You never know who's going to lead the way. Collectively, it's just really clicking. Keep in mind, Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, and Oscar Thompson were all out last night, yet 10 players still scored. 5 were in double digits. The team shoots 55% from the floor overall. They put up 127 despite just 29% from 3. They did not trail against Indiana after the 7-minute mark of the game. So a real easy wire-to-wire win for the Eastern Conference leaders. Now, the second longest win streak in the Eastern Conference right now belongs to the Atlanta Hawks. They've won 5 in a row. And shockingly, all those, Andy, have come without Trae Young in the lineup. Sunday, they were down big against Phoenix, but they go on a 20-0 run, come all the way back, defeat the Suns 124-122. Normally, the concern would be about the Pistons playing on the second night of a back-to-back, but let's note the Hawks returning home after a 4-game road trip out west. A lot of times we see teams struggle in that first game back home. Sure enough, how have the Hawks performed at home this year, gang? Not that well. 2-3 straight up. We've seen the market move toward the Pistons. I concur with that. You say you want me to pick you a winner, Andy Lang. I am going to go with the Detroit Pistons.
I would just like to throw out that when you were like first Pistons player to do this, there's going to be a lot of that this year coming off of playing my Pacers. There's just going to be a lot of like, this guy had a career night, and this is the first guy to shoot 80% from the field from 3-pointers while attempting 10 or more. My team's awful, Brian.
You knew that you used up that good. By the way, where's that guy who was in his garage that was threatening to murder me last year in the NBA Finals? Whatever happened to that guy? I wonder. What happened to him?
I can't.
Still in the garage, buddy?
I can't believe my team went from so fun and watchable and competitive to 1-13.
Yeah, I know it's only November. I know it's only November 18th, but I regret to inform everyone that the Indiana Pacers, Brooklyn Nets, and Washington Wizards have already been eliminated from playoff contention. They're not getting it.
It's like the Rockies, like in June when they already have the E next to their name. They've already been eliminated from them. So,
it's not good.
I mean, listen, if you're going to be bad, you might as well just be bad. If you're like, go for the number one pick. You got 3 amazing guards, I believe, that are going to be in this draft. So might as well swing for the fences and go for it. So, all right, I digress. Let's talk college basketball. Kansas, Duke, always. It just seems like a classic matchup. How do you break down Kansas and Duke?
Yeah, last week came on the program, gave you a winner on a big game. Kentucky and Louisville. We liked Louisville up and over that team total. They scored at will in that game. Of course, if you guys want full breakdowns, I know you guys were talking a little college hoops with Jesse in the previous segment. If you guys want coverage of the complete college basketball card, we'll go deep on it too. 10 a.m. live every Monday through Friday. Myself, Adam Trigger, Rob Vino, full court press. We're giving you free plays, breaking down all the big matchups and the not so big matchups. I know a lot of you guys in the chat like to ask questions about games that maybe are a little more off the radar. Trig, Rob, and I are more than happy to answer those questions. Obviously, this is one of the bigger matchups, though, and we did touch on it on full court press today. Kansas and Duke. I've got Duke power rated number 1 in the country. I don't think that is really an earth-shattering take. Kansas, they're just inside the top 25 for me. Unfortunately, this is the case also with that Michigan State-Kentucky game that Jesse talked about. There's a key injury here when handicapping this game. We've got to mention no Darren Peterson for Kansas. Everyone expects him to be the number 1 pick in next year's NBA draft, so that is a significant injury. Peterson had 22 points in Kansas's lone loss thus far. That was a loss by 13 at North Carolina. The team has since bounced back, couple wins, big wins, easy wins over Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Princeton. But obviously facing Duke, Andy, much taller order, literally a taller order because the Blue Devils have great size in the front court. We all understand that. Opponents this year against Duke are shooting just 39% from 2 and 32% overall. You're going to do pretty well when you're holding the opponents to that kind of shooting. On the offensive end, Cameron Boozer for Duke. He goes for 35 last time out, second most ever by a Duke freshman. He was 13 of 16 from the field against Indiana State on Friday. I should probably mention Duke's perfect 4-0 against the spread thus far. Not only do they open with the impressive win over Texas, but they've covered 3 straight times as a favorite of 34 or more points. So those big point spreads have not been a problem for the Blue Devils. They're just absolutely running the opposition out of the gym. Now, the contrarian in me does not actually want to lay double digits with a 4-0 against a spread team against a top 25 opponent, even with Peterson not playing for Kansas. My thought is to go with the under. Offensively, Kansas not so good. Just 55th, and that's including when Peterson does play. That's 55th per Ken Palm. I think the Jayhawks are going to struggle to score against this Duke defense, but Kansas is 11th in defensive efficiency. This will be the 3rd time Bill Self has coached against John Shire. The previous 2, Kansas has held Duke to 64 and 72 points. So I think Self is going to create a game plan here to take away Boozer, who, by the way, had a scoreless first half in that Texas game. So under, which has taken money, I would still play it at this current number of 148.5 you see on your screen.
All right. Looking at the under 148.5. Brian, the Blitz, you got the full court break. You got a lot going on. You're man of the people. And
yes.
That was what great timing! Great timing on that sip to show off.
I know.
Your mug.
So I noticed when I watched back the tape, Andy, I've been doing well on that. I would, I'm a difficult grader. I'm very self-critical, but I think my performances on this show have been really good. And I think the key has been coming on incredibly over-caffeinated each and every time. I'm just chugging coffee right before I talk to you, just spewing information as quickly as I can. So, yeah, why not one more sip game?
I was thinking about designing like a mug or something where on one side it says hit the like, then I turn it and the next
that
time
would be outstanding.
It says subscribe.
They would like that a lot.
I think I may do this. A QR code that leads to my page.
Wow.
Maybe like a little whiteboard where I can update my streaks.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
So,
I know how to do it. I'd do it. I've got no clue.
Let's work on that graphics department. Let's get that going. So, all right. So tell everyone what you have up at $5 Tuesday. Tell us about Full Court Press and the Blitz.
Yeah, we mentioned Full Court Press. That show's live every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Myself, Adam Trigger, and Rob Vino. We go deep into the college hoops sport, full hour. If you want to know about college hoops, I don't think there's another show on the internet right now that's going to go as deep as Full Court Press does every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then we've got the Blitz. We go deep there as well. That's live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Myself, Ralph Michaels, Ross Benjamin. Ross is going to be off this week. Programming notes, Steve Merrill will be on the panel instead. I think it's going to still be a great show. Obviously, Steve always does a bang-up job. Now, to $5 Tuesday, what the people want to hear about. I mentioned at the outset we are on a 13-3 college football run to start November. That is number one at WagerTalk.com. Thank you very much. And it includes a perfect 3-0 record with midweek action. Andy, as you know, I am a proud Mid-American Conference graduate of Ohio University. I know this conference very, very well. Last week on $5 Tuesday, had Western Michigan. I play no favorites. I bet against the alma mater, Ohio U. Western Michigan won that game. I came back Wednesday, had an even easier winner with Central Michigan blowing out what I called a very, very overrated Buffalo team. We're going to the MAC. It's a 4% play tonight you get for $5. 4% play, MAC attack, WT.buzz/BP. Again, 13-3 in college football to start the month of November. Number one at WagerTalk.com.
Brian Power, everyone. Thank you so much. Great breakdowns. Go check them out on $5 Tuesday. All right, let's bring in Dan. Let's take a look at the NFL season win totals. Let's see how foolish and brilliant we looked. But you're right. Overall, not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
No,
honestly,
it really isn't. So we could go through a few of them, but real quick, your very first, what was the biggest reaction you had?
All right, so it's twofold. One of them was, what the hell were we thinking saying the Jets were going to go over? Like now
it
again,
made the top
Andy,
three.
It's not dead. It's not dead. They need what do they need? We need 4 wins from the Jets in the last 7 weeks of the season. It's dead. I don't know what we're thinking. I think the other thing that was the biggest takeaway for me was strength of schedule before the season might actually matter, because part of the reason you and I were on the under on the Patriots was simply because we were like, the schedule looks really easy. Yes, they're favorites in every game, but you have a new head coach. We didn't know much about Drake May. It turns out that this team, as they sit right here, are one of the worst by DVOA that's ever been such a winning team. And why is that, Andy? Because they're doing what they should do. They are a solid young team with a new head coach who is a solid, proven coach in this league. And what are they doing? They're beating up on bad teams and getting the job done. So, strength of schedule, I think when we do this next year, I'm going to weigh it maybe a little bit more heavily. It's not going to be a Bible that I worship, but the Patriots, if we ran up and down this schedule, they were better than 4 opponents on the entire thing. So 7.5, kind of crazy on us going under, just as the pre-flop, not knowing what we knew.
The Jets was number 3 on my list of really funny things. Number 2 was the Dolphins, how I went over and how stupid this looked 4 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they have 4 wins, and they have the Jets.
That one's going to be a sprint
on deck. So, I thought the most obvious one was, I don't know, maybe you and I should have a little bit more faith in our own teams You and I both went against
I go
our home
under on
teams
the
and supported the other person's team. The Colts have already cashed. They're over.
Yeah.
You're 8-2 in the driver's seat.
That was easy. That was easy. And I loved the Colts heading into this year. I was like, and part of the reason, I wish we could go back. We should have clipped some of this when we went over this, Andy, because one of the things that I said, I was like, Daniel Jones quite literally cannot be worse than he was in New York. You know what I mean? Like that was the main part of my handicap. I was like, they can't be worse than he was in New York. And for a couple of weeks there, he was talking about as an MVP candidate. So.
We did good on some of the bad teams. The Saints are 2-8, but they would need to get 4 wins. That seems like a stretch. The Titans, we were pretty good on. The Raiders, that one was a really good one. So we actually did pretty good with some of the bad teams outside of the
so,
Jets.
Andy, when you look at the chart too, there were 20 teams that you and I both agreed on heading into the season, whether it was strong plays, whether it was leans. And a couple of them, we're like 1 win away from cashing on the Jaguars, or 2 wins away from cashing on the Jags, 1 win away from cashing in on the Broncos. The Patriots, we already lost. But a lot of these Rams, we need 2 more wins to cash with them. As we look at the ones that you and I saw alike, it's easy to say, dear God, we were so wrong on the Patriots. But I think the unanimous ones out of the 20, if I'm setting it today, looking at what we need, Steelers, they need 3 more wins for us to lose the under that you and I both liked. And, Aaron Rodgers injured now. They have Baltimore pushing them. So as it stands today, we've already lost 1. We're about to cash 1 next week. Out of the 20, I think we go decently over 500. I'm going to say we go 58% out of the 20 we agreed on.
There's one that we both loved on a strong over that I'm kind of kicking myself about. That's the Falcons.
Yeah, I like them to win the division.
Yeah, they notoriously struggle on the road, and now the Penix injury has flared up.
Yeah, they're done.
And
they're done.
And that was what I was like, the Penix potential injury along with them not being very good on the road.
Penix has done this how many times? I think this is like his 4th or 5th season-ending injury in his career going back to college. So, still, the thing is, they've gotten so close in so many games. Like, if you look at their margin of loss outside of the 30-point blowout to the Panthers, it's been coin flips for them. So unfortunately for us, just the coin not flipping our way, Andy. And shout out Rick Johnson. Thanks for becoming a WagerTalk Insider. Just $2.99, folks. Talk all about $5 Tuesday today. $2.99 gets you as a WagerTalk Insider. You get to see a nice little cool name next to your or next badge next to your name, depending how long you're with us here. And also, you get early access to nearly every single thing on the channel. You get bet on it 2 hours before anyone else. You get access to 1 free Steam room a month with our man VR. So many reasons. If you appreciate the content that we do, we always ask you, like and subscribe. That's the bare minimum that we ask you to do for the work that we put in. For $2.99 a month, you could show some big support to us and our team for what we do. So thank you, Rick, for becoming a WagerTalk Insider, and thanks to everyone for tuning in, especially the insiders.
All right, let's go to the NBA. Let's break down a doubleheader that we have going on tonight. Before we do that, $5 Tuesday, NBA best bet. That is up for myself. I specialize in props. That's all I do, and we're doing one every single Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, my $5 Tuesday play will be an NBA prop. We did not hit the one last week, hit the 2 before that, so love to keep that above 60% for the Tuesdays moving forward. All right, let's break down the doubleheader between the Grizzlies and the Spurs and the Suns and the Trail Blazers. We're going to start with the Grizzlies and the Spurs. Spurs -5.5 over under at 233.5. We'll go over some numbers. Spurs 7th in offensive efficiency. Memphis 27th. Spurs 4th in defensive efficiency. Grizzlies 20th in defensive efficiency. Ja Morant, career low efficiency rating. Doesn't matter. He's out. Wemby, looking like an MV candidate. Wah, wah, he's out. So this looked like such a great matchup at the beginning of the season, but Ja Morant, Wemby dealing with injuries. I love the talk that Ja Morant may not actually be hurt. They're just shelving him until they find a trade partner. So A few other numbers. Grizzlies are 1-8 their last 9 games, 4-10 ATS, 1-5 ATS on the road. John Morant went out last game, and the Grizzlies played solid against a good Cavs team that were only missing Garland. And then they just got dominated in the fourth, but they only lost 108-100. Is this a potential addition by subtraction from this team? Last year, this team was 18-14 without John Morant. Now, Zach Edey comes back from Memphis just as Wemby goes out. I'm going to take the Memphis Grizzlies plus the points here. Nothing real strong about the over-under. This just smells like a Memphis team that may play a little bit harder with Ja Morant out of the lineup. So we'll take Memphis plus the points here. And of course, I give you guys props in all these games when we break down. That is what that's what I specialize in. So those are the markets that I attack pretty hard. Keldon Johnson over 6.5 rebounds. He had a strange stat line without Wemby in his last game. 12 rebounds on 16 rebound chances while coming off the bench. I don't expect him to replicate those type of numbers, but if he gets somewhere close, he should go over 6.5. And then Santi Aldama over 13.5 points. He had 15 and 14 both games without Ja this season. Now, he was only 2 of 7 from threes in those games, but he had 12.5 field goal attempts and 5 free throw attempts. So we'll take Aldama over 13.5 points for the Grizzlies and the Spurs. Does that say San Antonio Panthers?
It does say San Antonio Panthers. You're right, Andy. This is what happens when we're on show number.
Keep it. Let's go. Hit that like and subscribe. Let's go. Let's catch some bets on the Grizzlies and the San Antonio
and the
Panthers. Did anyone even catch that in the chat? All right, let's break.
Nobody said it. Nobody said it. They were looking into your eyes, Andy.
Where are you guys? You guys are asleep at the wheel. All right, let's go to the next game. We're gonna break down.
I'm not even putting one up for this one, Andy.
Let's go to the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trailblazers. Well, Grayson Allen is out for this one. Drew Holiday is doubtful. I'm kind of ruling him out. We got the Blazers minus 3.5, over under 236.5. The Suns 8th in offensive efficiency, Blazers 18th. Suns in 18th in defensive efficiency, Blazers are 22nd. Suns, to me, have been a surprise. They were not expected to be good this year, but 8-6 so far, decent. 9-5 ATS, but only 2-4 ATS on the road. Meanwhile, Portland, kind of a little bit of surprise ATS here. 4-1 against a spread at home, 4-1 to the over. And this is what I'm focusing on. Phoenix 4-2 to the over on the road. So I get a Portland team that's been good to the over at home. I get a Phoenix Suns team that's been good to the over on the road. Phoenix is 11 in pace, and believe it or not, your Portland Trailblazers are number 1 in pace this season. We're going to take the over 236.5. The Moons versus the Swirls live on NBC. Who knows what the spread is? Who knows what the over-under is? Let's go. All right. San Antonio favorite. Cassius. Yes. All right.
Long-time viewer right there.
Yes. All right. Well, let's do some props here. Jordan Goodwin. You guys have followed my props. You know, I'm not playing props on big-name guys. Give me these sleeper guys that are under the radar, guys like Jordan Goodwin, over 8.5 points. Grayson Allen is out. Minutes are up in the last 3 games. He's had 13, 10, and 14 points. He's averaging 9 shot attempts and 5 makes those last 3 games, and Portland is 22nd, allowing points to point guards. Sneaky under the radar guy. And then Dylan Brooks over 2.5 made threes. He's gone over in 3 straight games. He's attempting 8 per game and shooting 40% from 3 in those last 3 games. So that's your breakdown for the NBA doubleheader. Again, $5 Tuesday. NBA best bet is up to for tonight, and we've been on a really nice run. We're up 50 units here in the month of November. Been on a nice run in NBA props. I believe we are 18-11 so far this year. So we keep that pace up. We keep that clip up. We're going to be on pace for one of our best NBA years. So thank you all for watching. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get notified whenever a play and breakdown video gets listed when our shows go live. Appreciate you guys for watching. Great show today, guys. Great show. Brian Power brought it. Jesse Schewel brought it. The graphics department brought it. On fire. Give us
Travis
the swirls
department
and
bought something.
It was listen. What was it? Cloudflare went under today. I woke up. It's
Yeah, it was
stormy.
Cloudflare's fault. It was Cloudflare's
It's just that's what it was. It was Cloudflare. It's Cloudflare. So, all right. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to be back for more fun tomorrow. Don't forget to join us there. And guys, seriously, $5 Tuesday play. Get as many as you want. Make sure you're betting responsibly, though. We don't want all of your bankroll involved in some plays on Tuesday. So, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in your plays. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Take